but let's unpack it all. And by the way, just a little, I suppose, disclaimer, since we are going to be talking about religion and faith, which I think is just inherently polarizing, if nothing else.
Seesaw, you renewed your membership. Gracias. This is not the video I was looking for. Oh, the wall going down. The boss in Terraria, the last boss, is the wall of flesh. So that's what I mean by the wall going down. The other wall going up. The America wall going up. 7 months? What does that mean? Oh, 7 months she's a member. Yep, I think her and Bibi are the record holders. All right. Christ is King stuff. As soon as I saw that, I thought, yeah, they're gonna say that it's a Groiper thing. It's a Groiper thing. It's anti-Semitic because it's a Groiper thing. Well, Fuentes and Jeremy Boring had a conversation. I shouldn't even say his name this early into the stream. But that's crazy. That's crazy that they talked on Twitter. Jeremy Boring and NF. I don't want to say his full name this early in the stream. And Lauren Chin organized it with her Twitter space. Fuentes says that Lauren Chin is his dream girl, but he would never get with her because she's Asian. And, you know, he wants his children to look like him. Makes sense, right? I get it. Right. He wants a white kid. Is basically what he's saying. But Asian, white, mixed, that's like the best too. Say his name. That's like the best too. And so that's what all the Christ is King, the reason they're calling Christ is King anti-Semitic is not, but actually the term is kind of anti-Semitic because it's anti-Jewish. It's, okay, Judaism's over. It's time to be a Christian now because Christ is King. So it is in essence like anti-Judaism. Maybe not anti-Semitic. I don't know what that means because I don't know about all that foreign affair political stuff. I don't know anything about that stuff, you know? But I do know that Christ kind of abolished Judaism when he came. Kind of ended Judaism, right? I know that there's Messianic Jews now. That's made up. That doesn't even make sense. But it's a thing. There's like a million denominations, so of course they have Jews who believe in Jesus. This stream's getting shut down. What the heck am I talking about this early in the stream? So I'm trying to find the Lauren Chin video that I was
the same approach in that they're the biggest, they're everywhere, so they need to appeal to every single niche. And I think they've done a lot to explore kind of every mainstream thing. So what they need to do now is they need to try to push stuff that's less accepted, like putting a trans male or a trans female in a scene. You want
there it is.
All right, everybody, welcome to the space.
This is a
We're
long
going to be
one.
talking.
This one's 3 hours long. The one I was watching is only an hour and 13 minutes long. There's a longer version of it. You would watch that. I'll watch the short one. Where is it at? Here, I'm just gonna like it on my phone, and then it'll be in my liked videos. here. YouTube. That's loud. The video's loud. I'll turn it down. Hold on. A new convenient. A new convenient. What does that mean? Hola, chique, onda, friend. Quick, comprate cafe. What is loud? I'm loud or the video was loud? Oh, Bryson's Gray's got an album. I might do a stream where we listen to that play where he made videos. It's alright. It's pretty good. I've been watching a lot of murder interrogations with black women involved, and they're so funny. They're so funny. I want to make some shorts out of some of these. I'll be at work and I'm like, I gotta write that timestamp down because that's funny. She's like, I was smoking crack. Yeah, we was smoking crack. So, but we ain't do that. And he's like, she got like, I don't know how this girl was dying from a taser. She like caught on fire. They like threw gas on her and tased her and killed a girl. She's like, where we supposed to get that taser? Where we live out here at the trailer park. Where we supposed to get that taser? She ain't got no taser. Where's she supposed to get that taser? It's so funny. I was like cracking up. I don't like earbuds without cords. These new wearing an earbud, a single earbud. Because if you're talking to somebody or you just start cracking up laughing randomly, and people don't see the earbud, they think you're crazy.
Hamas and all of that. A lot of people were laughing in the audience when he said that. I just want to point out he does not offer Candace Owens as an example of someone who is conservative and critical of Israel, but not anti-Semitic.
No, it's not. No, I was doing a good impression of her. That's what she sounded like. Trailer park, that's a white thing. I think probably there's more white people in trailer parks than black people. But this lady happened to be black. And it was extra funny. It wouldn't be as entertaining had she been a fat white lady, Cisa en junio le pueda dejar una bolsa a Josh. Hey, you guys stop that. Quit speaking Spanish. Y'all are speaking code. I don't know what you're saying. How can I moderate something? How can I have authoritarian rule over my channel if I don't speak the language? The heck? Okay, I'm trying to pull the video up. Windows share. What am I trying to? I need window capture. Now, I don't know how she gets away with playing this. I think she's already been demonetized. And she was also heavily canceled at one point. But I think she's back on. She's still been on YouTube. She never got canceled like Fuentes got canceled. But this was crazy because this is kind of like one of my introductions into politics is America First and Trump and all that stuff. So, and then finding out that this dude's one of the most canceled dudes ever, one of the most canceled people ever. And then whenever I find out somebody's canceled, I always got to look into it. Se hablo español. I always look more into the people that got canceled more. So I looked into Gavin McInnes and I looked into Fuentes. And yeah, he says some pretty base stuff. I agree with 99% of what he says. The 1% I don't agree with, well, actually, it's a large chunk of what he talks about. But he's more into genes and skin color and race than I am. I'm more into what you believe. He's a Catholic too. So like I would disagree with him more on the Catholic doctrine than anything. And he says IQ is genetic and all that. I don't believe in genes. So I can't defend that. I can't argue for that very well. But Lauren Chen had Fuentes and Jeremy Boring, the CEO of Daily Wire, in a call together. And that's pretty interesting. I would play this. One streamer had Nick on recently, and it's a really good stream. I'll send it to you, Floor, so you can watch it, but I can't play it on YouTube. I think she only gets away with playing this because she only plays little clips of him. Because I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. If I acknowledge that I know the rules and then I break the rules, then that's not very smart, huh? I'm not going to sit here and tell you the rules. But anyway.
Especially because, people were bringing up the fact that this is not just about Christ is King and anti-Semitism. Specifically, we were exploring basically the social political landscape surrounding that charge, right? Anti-Semitism, especially in the wake of, 10/7 criticism of Israel. What does it actually mean? Is it being used to silence opponents like sexism or racism? Really great conversation. It's about, again, 4 hours long. The link is in my bio.
Hey. There's one thing I agree with Nick about, and I bet you Bibby concurs as well. Lauren Chen could get it. Lauren Chen is fine.
If you want to watch it right now, it's on X, but we are working on
I think she's
getting
married
the file, at least
Maybe
audio
not.
on YouTube so people can watch it.
And I usually don't watch women commentators, so I'm not like a regular Lauren Chen watcher, but I'm only playing this because, and we'll actually skip ahead of what she's saying here in a second, but I just want to get to the Fuentes and the Jeremy conversation
here. But I wanted to go over some of the things that were said between Nick Fuentes and Jeremy Boring, because that was a particular part of the conversation that I thought was very enlightening. I've been kind of speaking out lately about how I think, frankly, there are wokesters on the right in their own regard. We've spoken very openly about how, if you say the wrong thing in Hollywood about, social justice, black people, gay people, what have you, you will be blacklisted. The same is true absolutely 100% irrefutably in conservative circles, especially conservative media circles. But it's not if you say the wrong thing about, BLM or Pride Month or anything like that. It is the case you will be blacklisted if you are, I think, overly critical of Israel. And I think, this is a debate we've also been having in light of the fact that Candace Owens and then Daily Wire are no longer together. I didn't choose to make a video specifically about that just because, they're aside from what we've already covered.
Yeah, so I still think the whole Candace thing is they're playing into it. I said Candace is going to be the queen of the groypers now because Fuentes did a reaction to the Candace and then the rabbi interview that was going viral recently. And he's like, she's going to be the groyper queen. I'm going to start white knighting for Candace. So Fuentes is going to be white knighting for Candace Owens, a conservative black woman. That's funny. But he's like, she's almost based. She's not quite there. We're going to get her the rest of the way. And then she puts Christ is King. And something's happening. Something crazy is happening. Something crazy is happening in the world. But then Candace said in something, she said she really didn't know anything about Nick Fuentes. I don't believe that also, because she's known Ye for a long time. Fuentes was a political advisor for Ye, his only political advisor when he was running for president. So at 25 years old. Canceled by Ben Shapiro when he was 18 years old. Canceled by Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire for asking questions about Israel when he was 18 years old. Banks shut down, $500,000 seized in his banks, no-fly lists, etc., etc., etc. He hangs out with some unsavory characters at rallies and stuff. He'd be hanging out with some people that, maybe you don't want to be seen hanging out with at the Charlottesville protests, Probably not a good idea. But he got canceled when he was 18. I think it's because they saw that he was, I don't know. He's kind of got that presence about him, like certain other authoritarian people in history. Let's say that. Let's just say that. But he finally talked to Jeremy Boring, the CEO of Daily Wire, who canceled him when he was 18. Wow, this is kind of crazy. All right, Lauren, we're gonna let's get to the where's the thing?
A lot of new information, but
no timestamps, Lauren. How much money do you make off these videos? You can't be bothered to put in some timestamps? Are you a full-time journalist, Lauren? Can I get some timestamps, Lauren?
I think
I've already pre-watched this, by the way.
So employee.
Oh, I pre-watched this. No. But I listened to it. I pre-listened to it. And the Twitter stuff starts pretty late in the video. She explains it for like 30 minutes.
I know. I'm never a W-2. I'm always like I give my contract or my maybe against Jews, but why is it considered a taunt? Like, why is it considered a taunt to say this to Jews? Like, taunts are really only effective if you're offended by them. Someone could try to taunt me with, "Hey, Lauren, super charismatic, really pretty." But because the words themselves and the meaning behind it, like, I don't care about their intention, it wouldn't be considered a taunt. And I think, like, it's that we never really got to the core of that. Like, why is it even a taunt? Could it be even a taunt to say that
you said
Christ
AFK,
is king to a Jewish person? Because it's been said, like, well, anything could be a taunt.
Watching
That's
basketball?
not really true, though. That's
We're
not
interrupting
really true.
basketball.
Even to say, is it anti-Semitism to say Christ is king to a Jewish person? In what context? Of course, it's not per se anti-Semitic to say
Hold on,
Christ
I think
is
I
king
jumped
to a
too
Jewish
far.
person. It happens to be a very true thing to say. But
I might be right here. But I mean, I think it might also be different if, like, maybe that's just if you're a W-2 employee. I know
Oh yeah. He said you're not an American firster, you're an Israel firster. And Ben said, accusing any American Jew who is pro-Israel being Israel firster is a pure form of anti-Semitism. That wasn't my good Ben. I've done a better Ben before. I don't know what I just did just now. How did I do the other? I did a Ben Shapiro impression the other day. Flora was cracking up. Okay, well, accusing any American Jew who's pro-Israel being an Israel firster is a pure form of anti-Semitism.
I'm never a W-2. I'm always like, I give my
Where is the call?
Behaves a lot like the ADL though. He wants.
Okay,
can
well,
Lauren hear us, Moses Denton? I mean, I can see you. I can't hear you though. Sorry. Nick says they fed him to the ADL, as many people brought up in this conversation. It is ironic, to say the least, that someone clearly fed me to the ADL upon my departure from the Daily Wire, and they did this by trying to smear me as somehow connected to Nick Fuentes via Crisis King, although I legitimately don't know Nick. Strange coincidence indeed. So, I mean, Jeremy Boring saying, no, ADL has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, in that tweet, she says, I literally don't know Nick. I call that literal bullshit, Candace.
Candace
There is that
appears to
coincidence,
have been
though.
fired a day after the ADL came out with a hit piece on her, saying that she was allying with anti-Semites like Nick Fuentes. I mean, when the ADL drops something like that and then Candace gets let go 24 hours later, it looks suspicious.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, to be fair, she said I don't know him. She didn't say I don't know of him. So maybe she never met him. Maybe she never met him, but she knows him. She knows who he is. They are in the same circles. They hang out with the same people, and I mean conservatives. I mean, yay, Christians. So what are you talking about, Candace? You know him.
Understand that
You
people who
never
are
met
looking
him,
for a
maybe?
conspiracy
Maybe.
will find one. Ben Shapiro is as critical of the ADL as anybody out there. I've never met anyone at the ADL. I've never said a positive word about the ADL. The Daily Wire, don't think you can find a host at the Daily Wire who's ever had a positive.
Yeah, if you work with the ADL, you can't put it out there that you're working with the dang ADL.
Thing to say about the ADL. So I can't prove a negative. I can't prove that I didn't fire Candace Owens because of the
You're a
ADL.
conservative
I can
news
only tell
media
you that I
group.
didn't fire Candace Owens because of the ADL. I don't.
Well,
I
so you're
despise
saying
the
that they
ADL. I don't care
speculated.
anything about what the ADL publishes.
You know what? Ben Shapiro behaves a lot like the
Has the
ADL,
stream
though.
been taken down yet?
He once made a list on Twitter of people that are quote unquote alt-right, which at the time was used synonymously for white supremacist. And he listed everybody from Ron Paul, Ann Coulter, Mike Cernovich, Alex Jones, basically anybody that was anti-war. Ben Shapiro listed as alt-right, aka white supremacist. So Ben behaves a lot like the ADL in trying to condemn people that are for America and against foreign aid or getting entangled in foreign war. So you can say, the Daily Wire has no agenda. We're just funded by Christian Zionists.
I'll be sure to tell
Excuse me?
Hey, Jeremy,
that's so cute.
So, I mean, to the point, Andrew Meyer, he's somewhere in here. There we go. I think that was him. Spaces are really glitchy. And when he was 18, Nick went, this is the type of behavior that Andrew is talking about when he says Ben is like the ADL. So Nick Fuentes, and this was in 26, Wire never read an author on Daily Wire skeptical of Israel. I mean, okay. Yeah, I think that's like, now, if we say that, that's pretty obvious. At the time, Ben Shapiro's take was accusing any American Jew who is pro-Israel of being an Israel firster is a pure form of anti-Semitism. That is what Ben Shapiro had to say to 18-year-old Nick Fuentes. I do think that was uncalled for. That was wrong of Ben, who has millions of followers. Like, even back then, one of the biggest names in conservative media, to launch that smear against some kid for correctly noting Daily Wire doesn't platform criticism of Israel. And, he talked about this on stream.
If you don't know, I should find the clip. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to find the Groper Wars clip in case for the uninitiated. But Michael Knowles exposes Groper Nick Fuentes.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does a serpent talk? What? And not only that, but why is the serpent's punishment to crawl on its belly when that?
Because they had legs before that, bruh.
Anyway, he did. It's on video. You can check it out for the home audience.
Science would call that an adaptation.
You can check it out.
Hi, Mr. Knowles. First, I just want to say that I'm a big fan. I feel like a lot of the times in the past, you've defended Christian values, and I respect you for that, even on issues that may not be so popular, such as same-sex marriage or men are not women, etc. My question is also regarding the event at Politicon in which Mr. Nicholas J. Fuentes took a picture with you, and then only an hour and 20 minutes afterwards, you tried to slander him by associating him with racial bigotry and the alt-right, as you just said. The alt-right, which you describe as godless. Now, Mr. Fuentes disavows racial hatred. He tries to disassociate with it. He also has a lot of...
That's true. He's against the Wignats. He's against the Wignats, the white nationalists, the skinhead types. He disassociates with them because they're usually kind of dumb larpers, you know. And they also will be racist liberals. They'll be feminists and all that stuff. So they think liberal, but they're racist. They hate black people. They hate brown people. Racist, quote unquote. But they think liberally. So they're labeled alt-right, put on the right, which is the wrong label. They're just dumb.
Minority supporters, as we've seen at recent events, a lot of minority supporters have come out in favor of him. So I don't think it's really fair to characterize him as a racial bigot. And he is also a devout Christian. And the reason I mention this specifically, obviously, a picture in itself doesn't mean anything. You don't have to disagree, or you don't have to agree with anything that someone who takes a picture with you says, such as with Lady Maga. It's perfectly fine to take a picture with him. But my problem is that you have a very different reaction when it comes to either of them. When it comes,
Nick did an interview with Lady Maga. Lady Maga. MAGA. I say MAGA, but I don't even want to call him that. Lady Maga. Lady Fag. Oh, I can't say that on YouTube. Say Lady Maga with an F instead of an M. But Nick did an interview with Lady Maga and kind of roasted the guy. I think it's a. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that. YouTube doesn't like that. But yeah.
comes to a young America First conservative like Mr. Fuentes, you slander them, trying to associate.
I
them
never
with
slandered that person. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I'll explain to you
He who must not be named. That person.
what happened. I'll explain to you what happened.
This is
and
YAF.
why
They
I'm
destroyed TPUSA. That's what I'm looking for. That's the Groiper Wars. This is not. This is a year ago, so this is newer Groiper Wars.
much more happy to take a photo with somebody like Lady Maga, who obviously were very different people, but agree on certain things, than I am with somebody like Nick Fuentes, which is that Lady Maga is a nice guy, and we had a nice conversation, and we were very
It's a nice guy.
discussion.
Hey, let's go.
And Nick Fuentes
is cool.
lied to my face, then lied about me on the internet, and then only when I figured out who he was because I Googled him, I realized, and some might try to refute this in the room, but it's all on video, that he has endorsed Jim Crow segregation. He has denied that the Holocaust happened. He has associated himself with fascism openly. He said if Antifa were fascist, he would be marching alongside them. He has associated in the past with avowed racial bigotry.
Well, I disagree with that last part. If Antifa were fascists, but they were tyrannical fascists because they're fascist of the wrong ideology. A little bit of fascism, it's not so bad. It might be necessary. A little bit of fascism, but if it's fascism of the right ideology, if it's fascism of the wrong ideology, it becomes tyrannical fascism. Antifa, anti-fascist, antifascista, from the Germans who were fighting, the German Antifa were fighting against the Nazis, and they were the antifascista, but the American Antifa were actually tyrannical fascist fighting a nicer form of a little bit of fascism. You know, they were more fascist than the little bit of fascism that they were fighting against. Does anything I'm saying make sense to you? It makes sense in my head. What I'm talking about, but I have to be careful how I say things.
It's like James Alsop and Richard Spencer, though apparently now they're having something of a tiff from what I gather on the blogs.
I don't think he ever liked Richard Spencer. That's where the racist liberal term comes from, because Richard Spencer is a dang feminist, liberal, and atheist. Doesn't believe in God. You know, he's just, yeah, he's a white nationalist. He cares more about white in the country than God.
it is quite clear to me that he harbors racial bigotry. That's why I reject his politics. The reason I reject his photo is because he lied to my face and about me. Nothing in that is in good faith. I would take 1 million photos with Lady Maga before I would give a person who would do that the time of day.
Well, and the thing is, he said, I Googled him. I Googled Nick Fuentes. If you Google him and you read his Wikipedia, Nick has been on multiple very large podcasts, and they've gone through that Wikipedia, and he's explained everything. And when they say he supports he supports not white genocide, but white ethno-nationalism. Or no, what they say is he supports genocide or something like that of other races in America. And he always says, no, that's not the case. That's not what I support. He said he's ethno-nationalists. They like portray it like you want to kill everybody else and eliminate them. No, it's I want homogenous country. I want a homogenous country. But America's so big that I understand we can't ever have that. That's why we have states' rights. We have to be divided up and have smaller groupings of homogenous cultures. And the skin color helps, but it's not the most important thing. I'd rather live next door to a black conservative, like a Brandon Tatum or a JLP or a Larry Elder, than I would like to live next to a white gay couple, with pink hair and raising 3 adopted children to be whatever, la, 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 So I'm not all about the white nationalism stuff. I didn't catch that. Noel said he Googled him. How the heck could you base your opinion about someone based off Google? Yeah. Go to the first, Google it. Google Nick Fuentes and look at the Wikipedia. And it's just a hit piece. It's a huge hit piece. And he explains all the stuff. And I'm sure he's had his what's a good word? Quiffs? Is quiff a word? Queef? What the heck? What did I think? Quiff. Is that a word? His quibbles? Squabbles? I'm sure he's had his squabbles with people all throughout the political spectrum. And he's angry because the sun's beautiful setting sun out my window, but my window's nasty, so I can't really see it good. The sun's hitting me right in the face. As the Hodge twins would say, I got some Twilight action. A little bit of Twilight action going on. But yeah. Yeah, the Wikipedia is a hit piece. A tiff. That's what I was thinking. I thought quiff. A tiff. He's had his tiffs with people in the political community, and he's angry because he got canceled when he was on his come up at 18. He's a smart young man. And now he's allegedly, I mean, he may be lying. Maybe he's lying. I don't know. I'm just going off what he says. But according to him, he's a 25-year-old virgin, and he's waiting till he gets married, but he's too focused on, he lives with his mom still, I think. No, he bought his own house. He got a house in Florida, actually, like 2 years ago, but he was living in his basement with his mom for a while. JLP interviewed him a couple times, and JLP's like, why are you living in your mom's basement? And he's like, because it's cheaper. I'm saving money. And then he bought a house. I think he bought a house in Florida. But yeah, he got like $500,000 seized from him when he was 18. His bank locked up. Smart young guy. This is not him talking, by the way. This is a kid in the audience because Nick is banned from all these places. Nick tries to go to the Young American Foundation and the TPUSA things, and they kicked him out before he ever got to the door for questioning Israel. So he sends his followers, who are college-aged young men, to these things to ask questions, and that's what the Groyper Wars was. I'll finish this, and I'll show you an old video from when they called out Rob Smith. You've probably seen it, Seasal. It's basically when TPUSA, Charlie Kirk, that guy, hired Rob Smith, who was the black gay guy, who was a liberal, who just turned conservative because of Trump. And everybody's like, this guy's a grifter. What is this? And and The Groypers were calling him out. It's so funny.
I haven't answered that question. So the reason I bring that up is because I feel like you are actually slandering him, because I don't think that he lied to you when he said that he's a fan of your show. I do believe that you both agree on a lot of the same things.
I mean, he's referred to our outlet as a bunch of Shabbos Goy race traders, so I don't think he's a huge fan of us.
I mean...
Well, that wasn't to the outlet itself. I believe that was to Matt Walsh in particular, and I think that's because of how he characterized.
Okay. He only threatened to stab one of us and called the other one a race trader, but maybe he likes me. I don't know.
Well, okay. Nick does like a 2-hour show 5 nights a week for the past 5 years, since he was 18. He's an 18-year-old kid on the internet doing a show, running his mouth. I'm sure he said a million crazy ass things that you could clip and be like, he said he was gonna stab me. Like, I've made worse jokes than that. Like, you know, I don't watch anything other than JLP Network and UJS and Terry Strange a little bit. This is also new. Yeah, I'm like a chronic, usually internet listener. I usually can't watch stuff. I'm like just listening. I listen to podcasts and debates and stuff and news and serial killer videos and murder interrogations while I'm at work. Bro, I'm so happy at work. And listen, I wanted to talk about that. Dang, can I sidebar for a minute? Can we sidebar for a minute? I wrote notes. I took notes. This is so funny. So, I work with a lot of dumb people and a lot of lazy people and a lot of chill people and a lot of cool people and a lot of people. And it's good for me to be out in the world and associating with people. And it's also good for me that the majority of them don't speak English, because I don't have to talk to anybody, but I still get to be around people. And a lot of the little ladies, the little like Hispanic old ladies and the little like Muslim ladies, they like me because they say, the one lady said, Joshua, you're very kind. You're very kind. And then whenever I'm doing stuff, she's like, you need help? You want me sweet? You want me sweet? Like clean up my area and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's what's up. But anyway, this guy, I'm not sure his name, or I don't want to say his name, but just it's probably like Mohammed or Saeed or something like that. And he's from Syria. And I asked him, I've never really talked to him, but we're working and he's measuring stuff. And I'm like, what do you think? And I talk real slow and clear. I'm like, what do you think about the inches instead of the centimeters? You do? And he's like, huh? And I'm like, because before I asked him, where are you from? And we were talking about something, and he said he's from Syria. And I said, oh, what do they speak in Syria? Arabic? And he's like, yes, Arabic. And so anyway, he's measuring something. And I'm like, what do you think about the inches compared to centimeters? And he looked at me weird, and I was like, the metric system. Like, he's not gonna know what the hell the metric system is in English. You know, like, he's been here for like 3 months probably and barely speaks English, you know. But I know what we were talking about before. He was telling me about his previous job history, because we're building shelves, these big heavy shelves, and me and him were working together. And he's like, you have another job? I said, I do a lot of other jobs right now. I'm just doing this, but because I wear clothes that have paint all over them and stuff. And he's like, yes, you work. And I said, yeah, I paint, I do stucco, I do landscaping, I'll do whatever. I do it all. And he's like, yes, I not make enough money here, and I need another job. And I was like, yeah, it's, it's America right now. It's America right now. $21 an hour used to be great money, and now it's shit. But anyway, he's like, yes. In my country, a truck driver. And he said, he said, I come to America now. I no drive truck. I have to get CDL to drive truck. He said, in my country, 10, 11,000 a month. I'm not making enough money here. But maybe I get CDL and I drive. And I'm like, yeah. And so that's when I figured out he was from Syria. He spoke Arabic. What he did in Syria, he's a truck driver. And then he also said in my country also, I build these shelves in large stores. I manager. Um, and then he said, but also I drive truck. I can't drive truck here. And so um, later on, he's measuring, and I'm like, what do you think about inches and centimeters? This is a small talk if you hang out with me. What do you think about inches and centimeters from America to? And he's like, huh? And I said, the metric system. He's like, no, what? And I said, in America, we use inches and feet. In Syria, did you use centimeters and millimeters? And he stood up and he looked at me and he said, America is problem. And I laughed and I said, let's go. I didn't know what to respond to that. I just kind of laughed. He like got serious, but he was also joking. I could tell. But he stood up and he's like, America is problem. And I laughed and he kind of smiled and went back and started working. And I was like, let's go. America is problem. But I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that we're the only ones standing up against this diabolical French revolutionary anarchist nonsense of the metric system, of the centimeters and the millimeters. No. 12 breaks down better than 10 for math. And it's easier for math. A foot is a foot. You know? We need to go back to a bushel and a peck instead of these milliliters. And anyway, sidebar. Had to tell a story. Back to the video. This video is almost over. This isn't even the video. There's a video within a video. I got to play another video and then another video.
Maybe. Could be.
Well, he's never trying to stab anybody.
I think it was pretty clear from his streams, many of which I've now watched, that he is not a huge fan of my work or my beliefs. Good questions. I mean, that was good. We do have to get to other people, but it was good.
That's not true. Nick always says Michael Knowles is all right, but anyway. So that's that, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is see the Daily Wire post them. It's like, you failed miserably, but Charlie Kirk gets destroyed. I'm not going to be able to find it. I was just watching it the other day. This is it. Yeah, this is it, but this has his commentary. Ooh. This has his commentary.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy, Nick Fuentes. We're back here.
I can't say that, Nick. Come on, this is going to get me hit, bro. See these small channels with 700 subscribers and stuff? They pop up like flowers, and they drop all the videos, and that's. I don't think I can do this. I just want to find the one clip. I don't want him commentating over it. I don't know how this is not finding it. Groper Wars, Rob Smith. No, sounds a bit like a B word crying about how Fuentes talks about them very unbecoming. 5 nights a week, yeah. On Rumble and on his own network. JLP is actually on his network. I don't think I'm supposed to even. Well, JLP says it all the time. Cozy. Cozy.tv is his streaming platform that Nick built. Nick built his own streaming platform because he got kicked off everything. And JLP is on it. This might have it. This will have it.
So my question is,
This'll be
if the
good.
president were to enact a policy that would completely benefit the United States and our citizens, but to the detriment of Israel.
Our source here is TPUSA. This is from TPUSA, Turning Point USA.
Would you support it? Yes or no?
And just so you know, Seesaw, these are not him. These guys are not Fuentes. He got banned from all these conventions, so he couldn't go to them. So he'd have I think I already said this, but he'd have these young college guys go there, and some of them would have their own questions. Sometimes Nick would write the questions and say, on his show, he'd be like, ask this, ask this, ask this, ask this. They'd show up there in full force. TPUSA used to always say, whoever disagrees, come down first. So it'd be like 5 groypers at the front of the line, and they're basically asking questions Nick told them to ask and destroying TPUSA.
No, well, that's a false choice. Thank you for being here.
Charlie Kirk and Mr. Homosexual. That's Rob Smith.
I get a lot of questions about Israel in the last week. I will not apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East. I will not apologize for the fact that I defend Israel against its critics both domestically and abroad. And I'm always just very puzzled at times when I get the amount of attention that is on the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully visit their religious sites, the place that has respect.
Yeah, and what's it look like over there? How's that working out for him? Not very good.
For human rights, the place that the
constant wars for all of history. This edit is so awesome.
Knesset has representation for all monotheistic religions, something that does not exist all throughout the Middle East.
Not to mention the only pro-gay place
in the Middle
East, by the way.
Somebody outside a protester was asking about the term culture war.
Oh, I said not to mention the only pro-gay place in the Middle East. That's what Rob Smith had to add into that. While everybody's getting bombed to hell. That was awesome.
It's got a long history, started late 1800s, Otto von Bismarck talking about
the only pro-gay place in the Middle East, by the way.
Somebody outside a protester was asking about the term culture war. It's got a long history, started late 1800s, Otto von Bismarck, Culture Kampf. In the late 1990s, mid-1990s, it was reclaimed by conservatives. One of those being...
And look, you'll notice all the like hippie losers types. I don't think this guy's a groiper. He might be though, so I don't want to be wrong here. But usually the groipers, they're gonna be well dressed. They're gonna have suits on. They're gonna wear a tie. He does his show 5 nights a week, and he said for like the first 3 years he wore a suit every night. He only did his show in a suit. At 18, I don't even own a suit, and I'm 36. Like what? I wish I owned a suit. I've owned a suit before, and I've rented some really nice suits. But, they got suits, man. These guys got suits.
E. Michael Jones, who actually started this magazine, Culture Wars magazine, because of his fantastic...
Look at this guy dropping an ad in the middle of he just did a dang ad read in the middle of the question at the college campus at TPUSA. He said, this magazine right here. He looked at the camera. That was like Truman Show shit. What the?
Fantastic work. We now understand. Thank you. Give it up. Because of E. Michael Jones' groundbreaking work, we now understand that sexual liberation is political control. It's a form of political control. And you have multiple times advocated on behalf of...
Sexual liberation is a form of political control. That's deep. That's deep. You can thank France for that and the anarchists.
Because of E. Michael Jones' groundbreaking work, we now understand that sexual liberation is political control. It's a form of political control. And you have multiple times advocated on behalf of accepting homosexuality, accepting homosexual acts as normative in the conservative movement. How does anal sex help us win the culture war?
Got it.
I'm going to let the gay man answer
wait
that.
a minute. So can I ask you a question? Can you have the balls to ask the gay man on the stage that question?
Shut up, Rob. Shut up. You just got roasted, buddy.
And don't defer to him. So ask me that question. I will answer you that question.
I'm
gonna answer you. You already asked the question, so I'm gonna answer that.
Look at Charlie's face.
So can I ask you a question? Can you have the ball?
He's like smiling, like, oh, they like this. Oh no, I might have made a mistake here. Maybe I shouldn't have hired this guy. That's the legendary one, Seasal. That's the best one. How does anal sex help us win the culture war? Oh, and Charlie's like, oh, he kind of got me there, buddy. One more time.
Us win the culture war.
I'm going to let the gay man answer that.
One more time.
Because of E. Michael Jones, who actually started this magazine, Culture Wars Magazine, and because of his fantastic work, we now understand. Thank you. Give it up. Because of E. Michael Jones' groundbreaking work, we now understand that sexual liberation is political control. It's a form of political control. And you have multiple times advocated on behalf of accepting homosexuality, accepting homosexual acts as normative in the conservative movement. How does anal sex help us win the culture war?
I'm going to let the gay man answer that.
Wait a minute. So can I ask you a question? Can you have the balls to ask the gay man on the stage that question and don't defer to him? Ask me that question. I will answer you that question.
Well, you want him to repeat the question, Rob? You're on the stage next to Charlie. Just answer the damn question, buddy.
I'm gonna answer you. You already asked the question, so I'm gonna answer that question. I'm gonna ask you that question. This is America. This is the greatest freaking nation in the world. We realize that America is great because we have Western values.
Yes, and gay sex is not one of them. That's not one of them.
Realize that let me finish, dude. We realize that gays and lesbians are able to contribute to American society in the same way that everybody else is. And let me tell you, when you continue doing that, okay, you realize that we are here. We are able to do everything. And let me tell you something as well. I served in the military.
We are here. We are queer. And we're able to do everything. We're able to do everything. Really, Rob? Really, Rob? You're able to do everything? Can you fly, Rob, without an airplane? Can you flap your arms and fly, Rob? Because you're gay. You're able to do everything.
Right? I served 5 years. I did an Iraq tour. What's up?
How does homosexual sex help us win the culture war?
Who said homosexual sex helps you win the culture war?
That's the question that I'm asking. Why are you promoting it?
Well, it's a BS question, and you know it is. It's not. It's a question that is not being. It's not a good faith question.
So I'm
it's
going
not
to
a
be
good
honest.
faith question.
Rob, honestly, I don't care what two consenting adults do. So that's
do as thou wilt. The libertarian right. Do as thou wilt, as long as it's happening in your own bedroom. Well, what happens when they want to adopt children? Children walk in on their parents. That's Freudian. That's why Freud came up with his sexual analysis and stuff. He did studies on when a child sees their parents naked. Because a child will see you naked at some point. Your child will see you naked at some point. You can try to avoid it, but at some point it's going to happen. And then the kids are inquisitive. They're always walking around, and and what happens when the kid walks in on dad and dad? Well, now, and there's been studies done on this, the chances of the kid turning out that way. And so from a biological argument, without even using a Christian argument, it's not good, because biologically, certain things are made to go in other things to do things that make more things. Certain things are not made to go into things where old things are. I don't want to talk about it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, God made us a certain way. We could look at it. We don't even have to have God in it. Biologically, one place is an exit place. It's not made for anything to go into it. And that's all that's got to be said. Gay guy, not the sharpest tool in the shed. No, he's not. And I don't think he's still with TPUSA. I think they let him go. Charlie's been getting more and more based as he gets older, I guess. Or I don't know. Maybe he saw the I think Charlie just reads the he goes to the colleges. He has his finger on the pulse of the young people. And he's a little more populist. He'll say the more popular things, and he kind of follows the trends, and just like a lot of them. But I think now he's following the trend to more baseness, more, you know, a little more to the north right, a little less to the south left. But I'm rambling. Plug your earpiece out. You know what I'm saying.
That's the whole thing.
And your hyper focus on it is kind of weird. Thanks for being
you
here.
seem to be really interested in gay sex. I'm pretty sure if you're into that, you can go find somebody to do it with. I don't know, maybe. Next question.
Thank you. That's always the argument. So he basically just insulted the guy. He made a gay joke as an insult, and he's gay. Like, why would calling me gay be an insult if you're gay? You know, like, he basically just called him gay. He said, "You're really concerned with gay sex, so if you want to do that, you can go do that. I know that's what you want to do because you keep talking about it." It's such a stupid argument, Rob.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
My question is largely directed to Mr. Kirk because you were raised as a conservative.
Now, this guy looks like a wig gnat. You know, he's got the patch, he's got the jean jacket. He could be a groiper, though, but the Wignats kind of had a war with the groipers because Nick kind of disavowed them.
Part of the issue I see here is, what's your name, Rob?
Yeah.
So you're saying, you're behind the times, this isn't conservative. Well, we don't want centrists in the conservative movement. We want to retain our core values.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Yeah, what's conservative about moving more to the left and being more progressive and being more libertarian? And what's conservative? What are we conserving? Not conserving anything.
But here's the thing. It's not about what you want, because here's the thing. The beauty about social media is that I can be me and I can bring myself to the table. And it's not about what you want, it's about what the people want. And if there are enough people in this movement that say, hey, Rob is cool, he's gay, whatever, it really doesn't matter what you think. You can say whatever you want, and you can believe whatever you want to believe.
Let me ask my question.
But it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. And it's not going to deplatform me.
So my question is, again, it's directed to Mr. Kirk because he was raised as a conservative. You know, as the guy before has said, you know, you've advocated for homosexuality, said that there's a place for the gay agenda within the conservative movement. My question is, and you're also comfortable with trans.
It's a big tent movement. They want a big tent. It's for populism. It's to get more votes. Will be the argument. I don't think that's the argument Charlie makes here, but that's generally kind of what the idea is. To have a big tent movement. When Trump does it, it's to get the votes. But as a movement or a political group like TPUSA, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't like it. I mean, I get it. I respect the hustle, but I don't know. You're not really converting people. You're not really changing people's hearts. You're just changing their minds.
Transgenders and cross-dressers, I understand. So my question is there any point where conservatives should take a moral stance on Christian morality, or should we abandon it altogether? So in other words, what is TPUSA's, is your brand of conservatism doing to actually conserve Christian morality? If we're ceding to the left on transgender, gay rights, gay marriage, we don't want that in conservatism.
So you don't want him in the conservative movement? I just want to be very clear. Let's just be.
So you don't want me in the movement?
No. Hold on a sec. I want to be very clear. Hold on a sec. You're bringing some.
We just want your vote, Rob. All we want is your vote. We don't need you in the movement, Rob. We don't need you on the stage. You don't belong on the stage. You just belong in the booth, voting the right way.
Some very charged language. I'm going to try to calm down the temperature in the room so I can try to rationally understand an irrational position.
Why should we
Let me finish.
compromise our fundamental beliefs?
Let me finish. So,
all right, I think I'm just going to, okay, enough of that. We can hear Charlie's answer to this, but then I'm going to go back to the what the video was supposed to be about.
So, I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible's the greatest book ever to exist in
No.
the world. And I believe Rob Smith has decency and dignity as an individual in the United States of America. Hold on a second. We're not a theocracy. We never have been.
Yeah, but maybe we should be, you know?
And you know what? And wait a minute. Let me hop in here. Hold on, because I'm in it. He's addressing me. The thing that I don't understand. Well, I'm addressing you. How about that?
You don't even have the courage to address the gay man on stage.
He said specifically, I'm asking you, Charlie, because you were raised as a conservative. I don't want to ask the liberal who was liberal up until 2 months ago when he got a transition surgery and became a conservative and got put on the stage as a conservative because TPUSA needs their token gay black guy. I'm trying to ask the conservative guy, allegedly, a question and get an answer. He's not trying to ask the gay guy the question.
So the problem that I have with as somebody that is a gay Christian, and this is the problem that I have, because
read the banner edited in at the top. Hold on, my face is in the way. Don't say it, chat. Don't say what it says. Hold on, those lines will go away. Hold on, I can make them go away.
As somebody that is a gay Christian, and this is the problem that I have, because my relationship with God and coming back into the church over the past year and a half is one of the greatest gifts that has been given to me in terms of being in this movement. So my question to everybody who tries to say that, oh, you shouldn't be, Christian because you're gay. Why are you trying to turn people away from God? So if you
They're not. They're trying to turn you away from being gay, dumbass.
love God and Christianity is so right, because I do love God. So why would you be trying to turn?
What an evil way to flip that. What an evil way to flip that or to interpret that. Dang. What an evil way to interpret that. Wow. Huh. They're not trying to turn you away from Christ. They're trying to turn you towards Christ and turn you away from the gayness, bro. How do you not see that? You live in an upside down world. You call it good evil and evil good, backwards. That's when you've been given over to a reprobate mind. Damn. Enough of that. Let's get back to Lauren Chin, because she's way hotter than this gay black guy. Pause. I made myself giggle. Where's my window at? This window. Okay. Back to you, Lauren. What's up?
But like that interaction, and also the actions, I think specifically of Cassie Dillon, who, if you're not familiar with her, huge Zionist. Apparently they were friends, and it was like her actually who started saying, Nick, you can't question Israel. And then when he started doing that, she apparently, Nick says, was feeding like these left-wing organizations clips of Nick to kind of like undermine him. Crazy stuff. And I think this is mafia behavior.
She secretly recorded Nick at like a party, and she asked him, "Do you think that white women having sex with black men is the same as white women having sex with dogs?" And Nick said, "No, I don't think it's the same, but they're both degenerate." She shared that news clip, and then the ADL shares it with all these media sources. And now, whenever they do a story on him, they start the story with Nick Fuentes, the guy who once said that women having sex with black men was the same as women having sex with dogs. But that's not really what he said. He said both are degenerate, which means not good, not Christ-like, bad for, harmful for society, backwards. It breaks us down instead of building us up. That's what degenerate means. So, and now he's known for that because this girl who worked with Daily Wire, who was getting him a show at Daily Wire and getting him a job at Daily Wire, reported it. And this girl is irrelevant now. Nobody's ever heard of her because I don't think she was ever really worth much anyway. But yeah, and that helped lead to his cancellation. But then the Israel stuff is really why they canceled him. He says all the time, you know, you can say stuff against the blacks. Well, no, it's not even true, though. When he says that, I'll disagree with it. You guys haven't heard him say this, but he says when they say stuff against the blacks, they don't get canceled. That's not true because the one guy that was just mentioned, the Culture Wars guy, he got canceled for saying stuff against the black. Michael, I always forget his name. Hake always talks about him. But then there's Flaherty, the author who just died. He wrote White Girl Bleed a lot. Colin Flaherty. Flaherty? Am I saying his name right? Anyway, he just died. He got canceled. This is before like internet stuff. His books got canceled. His books got burnt because he was exposing black on white crime. And the statistics, how they were telling us, you know, they've been telling us how evil the white man is for 50 years now and trying to bolster up the minorities and all that stuff. So he came out with a book about how in hoods, in urban environments, black people were attacking white people unprovoked. I don't think that's how you say that, but unprovoked for a long time. And he wrote books about it, and he got canceled before cancellation was a thing. And he's dead now. He died like 2 years ago. Colin Flaherty. His books are on Amazon, but they're expensive as heck because they're canceled. It's like you get like a paperback book for $60 of White Girl Bleed a Lot, or Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, or something like that. Don't make the and then he wrote a book called Knockout. He made a documentary called Knockout Games, and this was this is like 15 years ago. I don't know how long ago this was. I'm not going to fact check myself right now, but it was a while ago. And now it's all over TikTok. But he got canceled too for talking about the black. You do get canceled for talking about the LGBTQ stuff. You do, that's happened. So I think Nick's wrong about that. It's not just the Jews. There's certain, you can't, it's whatever. At the time, there's like things that have a pocket of time where you could get canceled for saying it. Because the other day, Nick was saying, you get canceled for talking about Israel, but you never got canceled for talking bad about Ukraine. That's not true. Channels were getting shut down for questioning the Ukraine war when we first got into it. Same with the Vaseline. Same with the Koof stuff, with the election stuff, with the laptop stuff. There's things that have like their little pockets where you'll get canceled for talking about it because they really don't want it to be talked about at that time. But one thing that's been consistent, he's right about this. One thing that's been consistent through all of time is you can't talk bad about the Jews. They'll put you on a cross. They'll put you on a cross if you question the Jews. You question the Jews, they're going to make you walk through the street. They're going to whip you with a cat of nine tails. They're going to walk you through a street with a cross on your back, and they're going to stand you up in the middle of the village, and everybody's going to spit at you if you question the Jews. That's what happens.
This is not, free marketplace of ideas type of behavior. You don't have to think that Nick was right, but an 18-year-old, really? Pure form of anti-Semitism? And especially now that we know, we'll get to this part, that the Daily Wire, it's true, they will not platform criticism of Israel. It's gaslighting. Dude,
that's so cute, Jeremy.
Hang on.
Wait, hold on.
Well, hey, let me jump in here.
And the only reason I'm even showing this right now is because right now it's kind of being allowed. It's being allowed because of TikTok. That's why the ADL wants to shut down TikTok. And that's why everybody jumps on board once the ADL gets on board. Trump gets on board. Vivek gets on board. Everybody gets on board with shutting down TikTok. Everybody is against. No, wait, hold on. Trump wanted to shut down TikTok. Now he doesn't. Ooh. Ignore everything I just said. I got to think about that for a second. I'm talking out my ass. But Trump did want to shut down TikTok. Then the ADL got on board. Then everybody else wanted to shut down TikTok. And now Trump doesn't want to shut down TikTok. Huh. So Trump might be secretly kind of based. Trump is super based. We know that, but but Trump knows what he's doing. Man, Trump is a boss, dude. Is this the guy who got shot? I don't know who you're talking about. Nobody got shot. I don't know what that is. We're talking about Christ is King. Why Christ is King is considered anti-Semitic is because of one man. One young man. One young virgin man. One young virgin Catholic reactionary white gentleman who's not even really white. He's like Italian and Mexican. His name is Fuentes. What the heck?
Let me jump in here.
Okay, reset. Everyone can't talk over each other.
That's my friend Marie. Follow her too. The Marie.
There will
Oaks.
probably be a glitch.
I'd like to ask a little bit more about Candace Owens being fired by the Daily Wire. I just want to preface this to say, I was an organizational psychologist.
That's Abby. I could tell by her voice because she got that Tism voice. I can tell by her voice as soon as she starts talking. That's Abby. What's her name? She's the pro-life advocate lady. Not abolitionist, definitely pro-life. She doesn't think women should be criminalized. She doesn't think the act of abortion should be criminalized and that women should be punished afterwards once they get abortions. Which is basically justifying. She said Christ forgives people. Well, that doesn't mean you legalize theft, Dumb argument, Abby. That's Abby.
Psychologist for a while. I worked.
I don't even know if her name is Abby. I hope I'm saying the wrong name because I'm besmirching her. But anyway.
With a lot of organizations that were quite frankly larger than the Daily Wire in terms of, helping them with staffing issues, working through the employees to fire, things like that. Jeremy, I'm just wondering, and I guess I'm asking this as a yes or no question, did Candace Owens violate any specific policy?
I could be wrong about that, by the way. It could just be a similar sounding voice. I didn't hear the name that she said, but I think that's who it is talking. I think. And I think I said her name right, so it's probably better that way, that you guys don't know who I'm talking about. Hold on. I'll show you who I'm talking about. She debated Destiny. I reviewed it on the channel. Lila Rose, Kristen Hawkins, not Abby. Why did I think Abby? She looks like an Abby. I think that's Kristen Hawkins. I think. I don't know, but it sounds just like her. Abby Johnson? No, I don't know why I said Abby. She looks like an Abby to me. I'm talking about Kristen Hawkins, the slightly larger pro-life woman. She debated Destiny with Liza Rose. I reviewed that on the channel. Kristen Hawkins is who I'm talking about. It sounds like Kristen Hawkins, is all I'm saying. Anyway.
Policies at the Daily Wire, and I'm not asking you to tell us which policies. I'm just asking, was she fired because she violated a company policy?
I'm not going to make any comment about the Daily Wire separation from Candace Owens in this forum.
So he's playing into this whole fired narrative. I still am firm in my beliefs that Candace's contract ran out and that they're playing into all this for virality, for clicks. Daily Wire knows how to play the game. Candace knows how to play the game. They come to a mutual agreement before her contract ends that she's going to leave. Let's make a big hubbub before I go. And I think that's what they're doing here. That's why Jeremy will often hint at that we fired her, or he'll have like a Freudian slip where he says we fired her. I think that's all playing into the whole fired narrative for virality, for clicks. I think, and also, I think that Candace, I don't know. I think they both know what they're doing. And it's really not a controversy. It's just her contract was over, and she is saying some stuff that they don't like, but I don't think they're going to cancel her for anti-Semitism. I think they learned their lesson from that with Nick, and I think that's why Jeremy's going to have a conversation with Nick Fuentes. This is crazy. I got to let it play because I'm going to run out of time like I always do. It's only an hour video.
No, then, just to be clear with everyone, that's no. She did not violate any company policies.
Well, I don't. We're not.
A very sneaky way of ascribing to me an answer that I did not give.
If she violated a company,
and I'm sorry if I besmirched Kristen Hawkins. Well, she's pro-life, and after hearing a breakdown of one of her things from a abolitionist guy, there's a lot of things I didn't catch, and maybe I'll react to that video at some point, but it's a pretty good video. But anyway, I can't even think of what I'm talking about, what the name of the video or who it was. It's just something that popped up in my feed. But there's a certain voice. There's a voice when you hear it. It's a certain voice. It kind of sounds like your throat is clogged. Like you got a big neck. Like you got a big neck. You kind of talk like this. It's that voice.
company policy, you would have been able to say yes to the question, Jeremy. I know that much.
I will just say here, I think Carlin is right, because I think when the Blaze and Elijah.
Okay, Carlin. So I was wrong. It's not Kristen Hawkins.
Schaefer split, they did specifically say that there was a policy violated. I think Carlin might be right here. But I mean, I think it might also be different if, like, maybe that's just if you're a W-2 employer.
Okay, David says he essentially said that Candace Owens could not work at the Daily Wire because of racial Jew hatred. And I think throughout this whole space, it seems
I don't believe that.
Like the running theme is that there's a lot of frustrations over things that are not Jew hatred being portrayed as Jew hatred. And that's basically what this entire conversation is about. Like now even Crisis King is being portrayed as Jew hatred. You did a thread, Jeremy, or at least a post where you say that Crisis King can be anti-Semitic. Is
Crisis King, because he's a bad thing to do.
This has hate facts vibes. Like, yes, it's true.
Thing is true. A Jewish person.
That's the core, but not me to Jews. Like taunts are really only, super care about their intention. The to say true though, that's not really true.
Even to say, is it anti-Semitism to say Christ is king to a Jewish person? In what context? Of course, it's not.
I should have just went to Twitter and played her Twitter space, but I don't know how to navigate Twitter and stuff like that. I don't really use X much. It would take me forever to find it. I'm a dang X boomer. I'm an X boomer. That's why the channel doesn't grow, because X is where it's at. I'm an X boomer. But also, I don't know. If she's allowed to play this on YouTube and have this on YouTube, then I'm allowed to play her thing on YouTube. So she's probably already edited it down enough to where they don't hit her. So, and the Groiper Wars, that's from TPUSA. That my source on that was TPUSA. So I'm not playing anything I'm not allowed to play.
Per se anti-Semitic to say Christ is king to a Jewish person. It happens to be a very true thing to say. But just because something is true doesn't mean that there's not a
So this is Jeremy Boring talking. This is the CEO of Daily Wire about to be talking to Fuentes. Crazy.
Context in which it is a bad thing to do.
This has hate facts vibes. Like, yes, it's true, but it is used in such a way that it is problematic. We do hear this from the left a lot. I mean, we hear this from the left a lot in regard to statistics, in regard to biology, that certain truths can be used to shield hateful
I don't know that reference, Rome.
purposes or intents. It's just it's interesting why, like, real underscores the fact that the way they don't
think the word is
Bible, it's a problem, and I don't think that's hateful.
Can I jump in here? Because I want to, I mean, the important thing, I think the operative word is context.
Hey, oh, he just jumped in and I skipped ahead.
Where we're, as conservatives,
W-2 employee.
Where was I?
I don't.
To
you're offended.
I was right here.
A lot of people who wanted to come in. I didn't get to everybody.
Hey, Christ is king. The Groiper Lord is about to jump in the chat on Twitter.
There was a lot going on. Also, this was like hour 3 or 3.
Elon unleashed some beasts when he let Fuentes and Alex Jones out on Twitter.
3.5 of this stream.
Point you're making, that's a point that Klavan made. What I'm interested in is
I jumped too far ahead.
I might as well add a term when you use
things that are not.
Well, it might be right here. To say elections, I think.
Where was I? What the heck?
Problematic. We do Christ.
Whatever, we're going there.
Christ is king. It's a fact. But to the point, so really the operative word is context. In what context is being used? I think that's a point.
So by the way, what we are witnessing, guys, is a conversation between Nick Fuentes and Jeremy Boring. Just so like we're all on the same page. CEO of Daily Wire, Nick Fuentes, having a conversation. Pretty crazy stuff. Also, I got some hate about like not moderating well. There were a lot of people who wanted to come in. I didn't get to everybody. Like there was a lot.
No, you did fine. Shut all of them up and let Jeremy and Nick talk. That's it.
Going on. Also, this was like hour 3 or 3.5 of this stream.
Point you're making, that's a point that Klavan made. What I'm interested in is everyone's focusing on whether Christ is king is anti-Semitic. But what was a little bit more shocking to me in what Andrew Klavan said was about Ben Shapiro. And he said that he would not wish Shapiro to become Christian because if Shapiro became Christian, it would cause devastation to himself and everybody in his life. And he almost seemed to suggest like that we shouldn't try to convert Shapiro, like to come on to him in this way and say, you should be Christian, Christ is king. Even in the context of evangelizing, Klavan seemed to push back on that and say, actually, God put Shapiro where he needs to be and doesn't want Shapiro to be Christian, doesn't want Shapiro to say Christ is king because he's, you know, pushing family values or something in his station as head of Daily Wire, or rather as the head pundit on Daily Wire. So I'm wondering, do you agree with that? What is your position on what Klavan said? Because to me, I think that's the important context when he said that Christ is king is anti-Semitic. And I think a lot of Christians were offended by that.
I think it's a bit of a misrepresentation of what Drew said, though I will acknowledge that Drew is often more clear because he's often more prepared. He went on the air that day and spoke from the heart, which isn't always what he does. He's usually more prepared than that. Drew, and also I want to be clear that Andrew Klavan can speak for himself and he's not here. But knowing Andrew Klavan and knowing his relationship with Ben Shapiro and knowing a lot about his theological outlook, having read his book, The Great Good Thing, about his own conversion.
Book plug.
I think that it's fair to say that Drew was not implying that there is a way to the Father that doesn't go through the Son. I think that what he was saying is God is sovereign. He has people where he wants them. He has someone like Ben where he wants him. He has someone like Jordan Peterson where he wants him. And Drew, my understanding of what Drew said is that Drew's belief is that God has them where he wants them and he'll get it sorted out.
So again, in the Crisis King video I have coming out, hopefully later today, latest tomorrow, I do go over the whole Andrew Klavan thing in regard to the whole Crisis King thing. But he, in that video, does basically say it would be really hurtful for Ben's family if he were to come to Christ, and you know, a lot of his listeners might be upset by it. So, you know, and it's like two things can be true at once. God can use non-believers for his purpose, but also that he still calls non-believers to him. These are things that can, like, it's true that God can work through Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, but that does not mean that Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson are not still also called to come to Christ. It was a very strange segment by Andrew Klavan. He also accused Candace Owens of some pretty terrible things. Dog whistling that Hitler was okay, just because she did a segment about Nazi book burnings, and a lot of people don't know that actually the Nazis were burning like LGBT and socialist books, which I'm not for book burning, but it's kind of interesting there that a lot of these problems we're having now are not new in regard to like the far left. But, you know, obviously it seems like at the very least, Jeremy doesn't, or he's saying that.
That's not far left. That's far north. That's authoritarian. People on the right burnt books too. Sometimes books need to be burned. There are some books that I don't think people should be reading. How about that? That doesn't make me far left.
He doesn't think that Andrew thinks that Ben doesn't need Jesus.
And I don't think Drew would, if he were here, I don't think that
God would burn entire civilizations to the ground. So is God far left because he burnt some books? It's from SNL.
he would say that it's wrong to evangelize Ben Shapiro any more than it's wrong to evangelize anyone else. That there's again, context matters. There's a way to evangelize someone that is useful, and probably a way to evangelize someone that is not useful.
Yeah,
but
especially
I don't think
not
that
in
Drew was
schools.
trying to intimate that he believes that there is a path to the Father that doesn't go through the Son. Obviously, salvation's a mystery. We're to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. And Drew is a Christian. I mean, again, I would encourage anyone to read The Great Good Thing, Drew's book about his own.
Okay, quit plugging the book.
Journey to Christianity, which is as unique as Andrew Klavan himself is. But I understand why a person who listened to what Drew said on his podcast might have come away with the impression that he was suggesting that let's not invoke Ben, let's invoke Jordan Peterson here, because it sidesteps other issues that are contested on this particular conversation. But Jordan Peterson, Drew is not suggesting that Jordan Peterson has a path to the Father that doesn't go through the Son. He's suggesting that that God is using Jordan Peterson where.
Okay, from the chat. Okay, no one is defending Nazi book burnings or praising Nazi book burnings. It's to illustrate that, yeah, all of this trans weird stuff, a lot of this LGBT stuff, this isn't new. This has been going on for a long time. This is, I mean, history is.
She's saying the, okay, I misunderstood what she was saying. I thought she was saying book burning was leftist ideology that's been around forever. But she's saying burning the books of leftist ideologies like sexual revolution stuff, transgenderism, socialism, all these things, burning those books, those ideologies in those books have been around for a long time, and people have been trying to get rid of them for a while. That's what she was saying. Zion Sal.
In some ways repeating itself. It seems like at one point this stuff was coming to a head. They were having, even back then, experimentations on like transgender stuff, and it's happening very much so currently.
Where Jordan Peterson is, and that not everything is always exactly, not everything about how God works is always exactly obvious to us. Also, we live at a moment in linear time, and God takes a much different view probably than we do. And I think that's fair to say, since there are no second generation Christians, and everyone on this
what does that mean?
Space who is a Christian at some point was not a Christian.
Oh, I know what he means.
So I think that's what Drew was speaking to.
Well, but he said specifically, and I'm not, I'm just trying to ask a question here. He said specifically, because I just pulled up the quote, and I'm not trying to rip him apart because I do the same. I do a live stream. People take what I say out of context. Sometimes people that are friendly with you do this, but I'll be charitable and say, fair enough. He was off the cuff. I get it. He said,
No, I started the fight. I started the fight.
Devastation
Oh,
to
that
his
was an
family,
accident.
to the people who love him, to the people who listen to him, to his position in the world. Now, I know you just gave an explanation. You can't speak for him, obviously, but that's a pretty outrageous statement. Literally, that's the quote. To embrace Jesus would cause devastation to his life and his position.
I accidentally killed an imp, and he fell in the lava, and the wall of fire started. So my demon things do not go through blocks. So I'm just in hell cutting out blocks. We're not going to kill him in this stream. We're not going to have enough time because I'm talking too much and watching too much videos. But we will kill the wall of flesh soon. I just have to carve my way through all these blocks. Hold on, I'm going to pee real quick.
I mean, certainly just on its face, the denotative meaning of those words, surely you would disagree with this, right? That it is always the right moment to embrace Christianity, and that, like, obviously no devastation could come from embracing Jesus, right? I mean, do you agree with this? I know I'm not trying to say take a side against Flavin, but I mean, let's just say the words as they are. You would disagree with this, right?
I disagree that that the denotative meaning is the operative meaning in this setting. I don't have the transcript in front of me, but I recall that at the beginning of it, Drew's actual opening statement about this particular issue did involve the primacy of Christ. Of course, I believe that devastation can come into people's lives when they embrace Christ. That devastation is worth it for the life that one has in Christ and for the freedom that one has in Christ. But of course, Christ sets father against son and mother against daughter. And so obviously a lot of devastation comes into people's lives when they receive the gospel. I mean, Paul himself was shipwrecked and imprisoned and beaten and tormented.
People are kind of alluding to this in the chat. I think the reason why we're really zeroing in on this whole thing from Andrew Klavan is not just because it's bad theology. What he said, at least the way he said it on stream, hopefully it's not what he meant. And, we can try to be good faith here. But as he said it, it also represents a dangerous false doctrine that I think is quite popular in a lot of, especially evangelical spaces, of dispensationalism. The idea that Jews, in the eyes of Christ, are almost given special consideration. Maybe they don't need to accept him to still go through the Father. It's something that, growing up, I never really heard of. Even like I became born again later. It was still not something that I was like taught about in church. But when I started to, I guess, be more politically active and Christians were talking about Israel, that's when I was kind of confronted with the idea that, like, oh, there are actually Christians, the same Christians who are huge Zionists, who give a lot of money to Israel, even for charity, and who support it. These are the people who, believe that Jews, they don't exist on the same plane as other races in regard to needing Christ. So I think that's why we're trying to figure out, like, wait, did Andrew Klavan say this specifically about Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro is Jewish? Because he didn't say the same thing about Jordan Peterson in the same way.
No, it's not child's play to become a Christian. But to the extent that you're saying that what Drew is intimating is that now is a bad time for Ben to be a Christian because it would hurt his public position, I think that that's an uncharitable view of what Drew was likely saying, which is far more likely to be Jordan is where Jordan is, and Ben is where Ben is, and God is doing what God is doing. And obviously these issues are, obviously the issue of where a person is on their journey is a very complex one. But no, I don't believe if Drew were here today in this conversation that he would say that there's a bad time for someone to give their life to Christ.
I think, and I'm just going to say this and then other people can jump in, but I think And I appreciate I think you're giving a thoughtful response to this. But if I were to just rebut kind of the whole premise, I think it's very interesting that when it comes to saying Jesus is king, or when it comes to remarks that Candace has made, or remarks that Ye has made, or even someone like myself has made, it seems like it's always the most uncharitable. It's always the motive is impugned, always extrapolate the worst possible idea or the worst possible intention. But when it comes to the people on your side, when Ben Shapiro says, well, Jesus was a rebel that got killed for his trouble, hands up, don't nail. When Andrew Klavan says, well, Shapiro can't accept Jesus because it would cause devastation in his life, well, we almost have to read into it the contrary meaning, like the connotative meaning or the intended meaning is like the opposite of what was said. So when it comes to people that talk about Israel or Jewish power, or, you know, when they say Christ is king, well, they got to be super, super careful about how they say it. But if somebody says hands up, don't nail, when somebody says transfer is not a dirty word, which I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, when somebody says, you know, accepting Jesus is going to cause.
So transfer is not a dirty word. That's referring to a piece Ben wrote about, admittedly a while ago, but it was in regard to Israel-Palestine. Basically, Ben was advocating for transferring the Palestinians away so that the Israelis could take the land. That is something that Ben Shapiro was on record saying. I don't know if he still affirms that position. He has said some pretty shocking things over the years about Palestinians, but you know, I think it's fair to say that there's a double standard here. I mean, Ben Shapiro can say that you know, Arabs like to blow stuff up, Israelis like to build, or whatever that infamous quote is, and it's still totally fine, no problem. He's Ben Shapiro, the golden child of conservative media. The goodwill, the forgiveness, the understanding does not go both ways. And it's like, even like, let's take something with Christ is king. We are saying Christ is king, but you are still able to intuit anti-Semitism, bad vibes. But someone like Ben Shapiro can literally say, let us transfer the Palestinians, let's take them away. Joel Pollack, he apologized for this, but he could basically say, like, you know, let's turn Gaza into a parking lot. That's fine. These are explicitly what they're saying, but we have to reverse things, intuit good intent. Like, I'm fine with being forgiving. We should have grace, especially when emotions are high in some of these.
All right, Lauren, I want to hear
less take side of maybe
saying which these people. I think that's station. Well, it's uncharitable to like read what they say, and I think that's kind of to the point of even what somebody earlier was saying, which is this hypocrisy about cancel culture. You know, and I know you're not these people, but Dave Rubin is to me the perfect example. As you know, the guy made his career saying, "Hey, I'm a liberal, but even though we disagree, we can have a conversation. Don't burn my book," this kind of thing, and then. I have personal knowledge that when people step out of line on Israel, he makes...
Okay, so, I mean, Klavan was mentioned in this space. He's not there to defend himself. Candace was mentioned, not there to defend herself. Same with Dave Rubin. I would be happy to have any and all of these people on my platform if they want to set the record straight about what was said about them. But I just want to put that out there, but I don't want to get too caught in the weeds over it.
Makes calls. Now, you may refute that. Other people may refute that. That is something I've heard. And of course, he said on the Patrick Bet-David show, day after Candace Owens debated Barkley, he said, well, I don't consider Candace a friend anymore. And, you know, that's just the nature of the thing we're in. And it's like, I don't really know what that means, because Rubin will have on socialists, communists, leftists, progressives, as well as many conservatives, and he'll be amicable towards them, and nothing is off limits. But it does seem that one thing is off limits, and that's a thing that's very close to his heart. And that's the thing that's also intertwined with his business partner, who's at Hebrew University, and all these things. And I think what people are trying to say is that, like, it just seems like there's a great big double standard when it concerns Israel, Jews, anything regarding those kinds of topics as pertains to cancel culture, the free marketplace of ideas, and everything else. I mean, just to be honest with you, cards on the table, I'm not trying to, like, interrogate you. I am actually listening to your response. That's how I feel, and that's kind of how I felt my whole career. Because last thing, you know, I used to be I'm not saying this like you're missing my $15 subscription or whatever, but like when I was a teenager, I was a huge fan of all you guys, like Shapiro and like Clavin and even like Bill Whittle. I've been watching you guys since Truth Revolt and PJ Media, and I was putting out all those arguments. I mean, people be surprised to learn that I was like losing friends in high school because I was saying, hey, you know, Israel's fought off 4 wars of extermination, and, you know, they're the most moral army. They're a beacon of democracy and a sea of barbarism. But then I started to notice as I got older the peculiar nature of this, the special attention to Israel, the fact that there never seemed to be a criticism entertained, that always fell outside the scope of the conversation. And then when I met people from Daily Wire and I asked them, I got rebuffed, I got shut down, I got canceled. And then people like Cassie Dillon, who has since converted away from Christianity to Judaism, which is apostasy,
Shocker.
a great sin, she clips the show and sends it to Media Matters. So, I mean, you guys, and by the way, you say no one likes the ADL. Shapiro was reposting ADL after October 7th when Greenblatt went on and put everybody on MSNBC on blast, because I think you guys don't have a problem with the ADL. You have a problem with Greenblatt, because Greenblatt supports BLM and, you know, he's a left-wing partisan.
I need wood, pause.
So, you know, that's where I'm coming from. It's not a place of Jew hatred. It's just a place of, I mean, I'm America first. I'm a Christian. These other people, they lost me when they started canceling over Israel stuff and encouraging apostasy and or saying we can't convert to Christianity. There's this Judeo-Christian thing. You lost me because it's just not true.
I think my only response to that would be that, and I think I've spoken long enough on spaces that I wasn't actually invited to.
Does anyone else get kind of like family council session vibes from this space? That's, I don't know. That's just my takeaway.
So I appreciate everybody letting me speak at all. I think that the amount of charity that we give to one is based on their body of work. I can give some charity to Andrew Clavin's positions on his broadcast this last week because he's spoken so extensively about his faith. He's written extensively about his faith. He's probably one of the most forthright people that I've ever met. You know, you can't get him to not tell you exactly what he thinks. And so I have a broad context with which to judge the things that he says. I have a broad context to understand the things that Ben says. And, you know, Nick, to the extent that you've said things like, when we come to power, we're going to kill the perfidious Jews, it's very hard then not to keep that as context in mind when you say that you're not anti-Semitic.
So somebody's sending Jeremy clips of things Nick said, or somebody's sending Jeremy quotes of crazy things Nick has said. You can take one little line somebody said in a stream and make it anything.
And I understand that you're a very funny guy. You make very subtle arguments and you tell a lot of jokes. It's very hard after a certain amount of time, though, to believe that all of those jokes are jokes. And so, you know, to the extent that you had a bad experience with some of the young people who worked for me 10 years ago or 9 years ago or whatever it was, 8 years ago, you know, that's unfortunate. I wish that things had turned out a little bit different than they had.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of patronizing and disingenuous. He had a bad experience. I mean, people like Cassie Dillon basically tried to destroy him. Ben Shapiro publicly disavowed him and smeared him as an anti-Semite. It's not just a bad experience with some young people 9 years ago. This basically sent Nick down the path where he's completely deplatformed. He's basically the most untouchable person in like the media sphere. Could you imagine, like, where would Nick Fuentes be if, you know, back then, Cassie Dillon, Ben Shapiro, they just had like a conversation about it? Yeah, you know, I get a lot of people don't think we should support Israel, but it's, you know, we believe it's important for our faith. We believe also, you know, security, like whatever. And we just had a conversation about it like any other issue. I don't think all of this would have happened. And that's the thing, like I think a lot of the time, like these gatekeepers, they create the boogeyman that they're afraid of by so fiercely gatekeeping different issues specifically. Anything about like Israel, Palestine for sure.
At the same time, I'm very concerned about a lot of the things that you say now. I think you take a very radical position. I hope when you say Christ is king that you mean it.
If I may, I'd like to, I don't know if Standis Owens wants to respond to that.
Let's say Standis Owens.
Yeah, I don't want to take up all your time, Jeremy, and that's fair enough. And I hope you don't see this as me like the aggrieved, like bitter guy, or obviously I forged my own path. I did my own thing. To the credit of what you guys say, I kind of did that, didn't I? You say, oh, well, start your own thing or whatever. And I basically did that. So it's not sour grapes. I'm just trying to tell people where I'm coming from. Because I think a lot of people, when Candace Owens says Christ is king, they bring my name into it and they say, oh, is this Groyper, Fuentes stuff? And, to your point about saying killing Jews or whatever.
So to that point, for people who are wondering, like, why was Nick specifically on this podcast or on this space? Why was Jeremy here? Essentially, we were having a conversation about Christ is King. Joel Berry, who works with the Babylon Bee, he was of the belief that, it is being used kind of with anti-Semitic connotations. He brought Nick up specifically as an example of that anti-Semitism. So in the panel, we all agreed that it was best that, hey, Nick's here. He was listening. We could just ask him what his, what his intentions are. He disavowed any hatred of any people, but also did confirm that he's not just using it as a statement of faith, even though, Nick's Catholic. He does want to use it as a way to push a Christian, I guess, message to the forefront of their America First movement. Interesting stuff. We had a good conversation about it. Jeremy Boring was listening, in the space. We invited him on to speak and he accepted. So that's kind of how that happened.
Again, I think I would say the same thing to you about that you would say about Klavan, which is that, what I said is that clearly, and I think you might even agree with this, although you probably shouldn't say it because it would, it would be bad. But what I said is that I think there really are like devil worshippers involved in the government. I think they're really sadistic people. And I don't mean like super magical conspiratorial stuff, but I think there are some really sick, sadistic people that run the country. And what I said is that when you get these people who believe in this esoteric stuff and they really are devil worshippers, I said, these are people that you got to give the death penalty. I said, when it comes to, like, when I see these drag artists at the Padres thing and they're doing a dance on the crucifix and stuff like that, to me, that's satanic.
Yes.
And I think you got to draw a line. You got to introduce some blasphemy restrictions. And so that's what I know they took it out of context, said, oh, he wants to kill everybody. And the media was so happy that I said it in a rather unfortunate way. But if you play back the clip, that's what I said. Even the Holy War thing, I know Inspiring Philosophies here, he reviewed my rally where I said, we're going to make them die in a holy war. Very similar. And I will concede this. Okay, I really shouldn't. It's not smart of me to do this, but I tell the truth. I will concede something to you, Jeremy, and to Andrew and to Adam. Although I shouldn't. It's bad politics. But I really don't hate anybody, and I love everybody. And my vision for the country is for everyone to have rights and dignity and to not be treated with cruelty. And if you watch all my speeches, I say that in all my speeches. So it is there going back years. But I do understand that when you make jokes about Hitler, I understand that Jews who are already have a history where they feel like they're attacked and this kind of stuff, I understand why then you don't have a lot of, as you say, charitability. They are not, they don't feel like they can extend charitability towards me when I say, hey, I love you guys, but you make these edgy jokes. So I get it. And I think that as I get older, I'm trying to reel that in. Because, you got to remember, I got my start when I was 18 years old. Ben Shapiro was attacking me when I was 18, calling me an anti-Semite. I was under attack by Reagan Battalion and Benny Politzik around my 19th birthday. And as I've gotten older, I've come to, I think, moderate myself a little bit in some ways. Some would say the opposite, but at least internally that's happening. So I get where you're coming from. But my strong position is just that we got to put America first. America's got to be a Christian country. And as long as guys like Shapiro cannot say Christ is king and they refuse to say America first, I think it's notable. Ben Shapiro has never uttered those words. I don't think they should have leadership in America. So, I mean, people can say, well, I don't like what you say about this and that. I don't like that guys like Shapiro will not say Christ is king, America first. I think they forfeit their ability to lead. I would never listen to somebody that can't say those things, because, I mean, those things are really the foundation of wisdom, which is the love of God, which, as you say, goes through the Son, as we all know, can only go through Jesus, and oikophilia, which is, you know, your love of your home, your love of your homeland that you reside in, not some other homeland. So I just want to get that across to you. It's kind of a strange circumstance that we're talking, but that's how I feel about it.
And I'll say this, Nick, that I listen to your show quite often. I think you're one of the most talented people out there, and I'm very concerned about some of the things that you're saying. I wish.
How do I only have 5 meteorites?
I think that you're a very gifted communicator, and so it's hard for me to imagine that you consistently miscommunicate some of these things. And I'll hope that I'm wrong and yield the floor back to all the people who actually came on here to talk to each other.
Well, if I may, I'd like to jump in here. First off, Jeremy, thank you for coming in to speak, especially after the discourse the past couple of days. In charity towards Nick, I've heard a number of the more outrageous things that he said, and you know, I personally tend to write a lot of it off as him being edgy and entertaining for his audience. Maybe I'm on the mark there, maybe I'm off. I don't know, but I want to follow up on something he said in the thread that you guys are kind of pulling at. So, you know, first off, let me just start, Jeremy, respectfully by saying that I understand the criticism that you and others, Joel Berry, have been making about the way that Christians have been presenting this Christ is King, these Christ is King statements on the timeline, and how oftentimes that is attached to slurs towards Jews, just general hatred towards Jews that obviously isn't rooted in Christ. I understand that criticism. I'm a Christian. As a Christian, I believe that Christ should reign in our hearts, and not just politically, but, you know, we ought to act with love towards people who we disagree with or who hate us or whatever. So I just want to say I understand the criticism that you've been leveraging over the past few days, but one of the things that stands out to me as a Christian, as someone who wants America put first in our country, is, I guess, like, just watching the discourse around this, looking at Candace Owens' firing, hearing Nick's anecdote about getting, you know, viciously attacked as a quote unquote anti-Semite when he was 18. I speak for myself and a lot of other people on the right wing when I say that my perception of the Daily Wire, and of course, I'm sure you'd probably disagree with this, but my perception of the Daily Wire is that in many ways it is an Israel first company. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said, I saw the ADL hit piece come out against Candace Owens, aligning her with Nick Fuentes. Boom, 24 hours later, she's sacked from the Daily Wire. This happens after she's criticizing the nefarious ways in which some Jews use their power.
I gotta go soon, so let me try to. There's a specific part
but
I want to get
as a quote anti-Semitism,
I gotta go soon, Lauren. Hurry up.
Based tonight, Jeremy. As an American, free speech where people are criticizing to Israel, more loyal.
Ain't nobody trying to hear what this guy has to say.
That the Jewish Pharisees had.
Fire is the sin of any country other than America. I think that my track record, or the people who I've worked with in my career, from Bill Whittle, who was mentioned.
Okay. I encourage you guys to listen to like this whole thing, but I do want to get to an exchange that Jeremy and I had.
Is that bookings about Israel, and by our, I'm obviously go into other than a brief stint at Harvard Law. He spent probably a bit of what we're dealing with, the idea that we're
basically he's trying to affirm that the Daily Wire is America driven, not Israel driven.
First, though, is just
Israel is doing, how that's not what it looks like, and even who, you know, is giving sympathy to Palestinians.
Okay, there's my shrill voice. Let's hear what I have
fighting
to say.
the left and building the future in this country. I think that probably a more accurate thing, I believe, is that because you have a particular viewpoint about American involvement in Israel or Jewish involvement in our national politics, that you hear our feelings about Israel. And by our, I probably mean mine and Ben's most prominently, since Matt Walsh's is very different, or even Michael Knowles's is very different. I think that you hear that resonate more loudly, but the actual truth is that the vast majority of our efforts go into trying to protect our country and trying to change the politics in our country, trying to fight for our culture. And I say our because Ben Shapiro is also an American citizen. Ben Shapiro is also, he spent every single day of his life, other than a brief stint at Harvard Law, he spent every single day of his life in Southern California until very recent years when we moved the company. So, in some ways, I think a man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. And that's probably a bit of what we're dealing with. The idea that we're Israel first, though, is that's not accurate.
But you say that you all have different views on Israel, and I'm sure to a certain extent that's true, but do you understand, at least from the public perspective, when you fire the one host who's actually outspokenly critical of what Israel is doing, how that's not what it looks like? And even, Andrew Klavan in his video, he says it's not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. It's not anti-Semitic to, criticize or, try to give sympathy to the Palestinians. I can't think of a single prominent conservative who does that, who's critical of Israel and who, is giving sympathy to the Palestinians, who is not smeared as anti-Semitic. You say that you give, grace depending on record, which is fair. Candace Owens, she's someone who worked for PragerU, Daily Wire. She spent her career calling out issues within the Black community, including Black leaders, criticizing the American government. But again, outside perspective, at least, it looks as if when she started doing those exact same things, which she's done her entire...
All right, we're going to fight the wall again while this is playing. But... I need to get my health up first. I keep getting hit by stuff. Oh man, I can't heal. The problem is I can't heal. Okay, mushrooms gotta go here. Potions. Steak. Let's just heal up, play the video, heal up, eat the steak, throw the idol in the lava. All right. We eat the steak. Steak is eaten. We throw the doll in. Doll is thrown. Doll is thrown. Why is the fight not starting? Why did the fight not start? I don't have time.
Their career to people who happen to be Jewish and to specifically now the Israeli government, it became a problem.
Well, again, I'm not going to engage in any conversation about the termination of Candace from the Daily Wire. It's counterproductive, and I'm not in a position to do it.
Sure. But I guess to the broader point, I mean, is there a conservative that you can think of who manages to toe the line in such a way where they are critical of Israel, but is not anti-Semitic?
Matt Walsh, I think, is a great example. Matt does not support any foreign aid.
That's not what I said. That's not what.
I didn't even start the fight. I freaking died. Just to get this fight going is. I'm gonna kill him in the next stream. Alright, I need to make a bed with hell, but I don't have time to do it today. The little game sounds in the background, the lava gurgling lava. Let's go build a house in hell, and then I can respawn there next time.
What I said who is critical of Israel
is saying I don't think we should give Israel money. Is that being critical of Israel? Like, is the neutral position then to give Israel money? And then I guess if you really want to be pro-Israel, then you're like, all the money. Like, what? No. Gosh. Well, he doesn't think we should give them money. Therefore, like, that's not criticism.
Well, critical of Israel in what regard? I'm critical of Israel. It's mostly a socialist country.
I guess for example, what they're doing in Gaza.
Well, I think it's a fundamentally wrong-headed notion. I mean,
fundamentally wrong.
The question you're asking, Lauren, I think is akin to saying, can you think of a single prominent national conservatism who supports universal health care and abortion on demand? Well, no, those.
Okay, so according to Jeremy Boring, being critical of Israel and Gaza is basically like liking abortion. Like, you're that much in opposition to conservatism. There are, by the way, pro-choice people who are identifying the conservative movement, people like Tommy Lahren. So maybe it's even worse than that, actually. It's worse than supporting abortion, maybe.
Those aren't actually conservative ideas. It's one thing to say that one can be critical of Israel. It's another thing to say that we aren't capable of moral reason enough to conclude that when terrorists murder 1,200 innocent people, that there's some sort of strange moral equivalency that suddenly comes in, or that suddenly Israel has no national interest in protecting its citizens or responding to that attack. So I don't know how to answer that. And I think the question
you've answered it perfectly.
The question the question doesn't have an answer. You're saying, is it within my values? Can someone have my values and believe that it's that Israel is worse than Hamas? And my answer is no. Someone can't have my values and conclude that.
Who's saying?
But I'm pretty sure I didn't say that Israel was worse than Hamas. I said Israel's response in Gaza, which obviously, there are other countries who have their own military forces who have criticized the military operation there. And I'm assuming that they would understand what possibilities there are in terms of retribution or retaliation. But I suppose that's the issue that people are having.
So what I want to say to this, and we get to this point later, but I wanted to highlight this segment, is that according to Jeremy Boring, you can't be a conservative and have criticisms of like what's going on in Gaza because it is that antithetical to his values, what he believes is right at conservatism. Ben Shapiro rejects Christ, best friends with Jeremy Boring, head of the conservative movement. So that's okay. So I just I'm not even saying we need to, I don't think we should expel Ben Shapiro from the conservative movement, but it seems to me like their version at the Daily Wire of conservatism hinges more on support for Israel than it does Christianity, right? Because Christianity clearly is not the make or break over there. Support for Israel, that's strange. That's strange. I don't think it's not anti-Semitism to point out that's weird. It's a foreign country. It's a foreign country. You can support it. I'm not even saying you shouldn't support it. None of this conversation was, by the way, that Jeremy Boring, here's why you should not support Israel. This is a conversation that we are having about what it is like in the conservative movement if you have criticisms. You are blacklisted, you are smeared as an anti-Semite, and it's like that type of behavior needs to stop. I think people are sick of it. It's untenable, especially you look at the way that Gen Z views the conflict. Like, do conservatives just never want to win an election? Because older people, we got the boomers, they're all in on Israel. Like, that's not the way things are going to be trending in 10, 15 years when these people who are younger watching all the TikTok videos exposing what's going on in Gaza, when they get older and they're voting. That's all I'm saying.
Spawn point set. Okay, I got a new spawn point in hell.
It's not about sharing your exact same values, but if you can't think of someone who is...
I built a house in hell, and this video is pretty much over, and I gotta go. Christ is king. Shout out the Groypers. Shout out Fuentes. It's getting popular. If you would have said it 5 years later, you wouldn't have got canceled. We have a spawn point in hell. So now we'll just wake up, come down for a little swim in lava in hell, and work on our arena. I need more open space like this. I can't have walled in areas because my weapons don't go through the walls. This weapon right here doesn't go through the walls. So when I get to a rocky area like this area, I'm good. I'm hitting them. When I get to an area like this, it gets tough. When I get to an area like this, I can't hit them at all. So I need to cut all this out and just do platforms in areas like this. So I'll work on that on the Friday night stream tomorrow. We'll do a long stream tomorrow night. Long Friday night stream tomorrow night. Snore stream. Gonna be painting some eggs. Making some egg and tuna salad. I gotta get some celery and I gotta get some pickles. I gotta get pickles and celery. You get a tortilla with a pickle and some egg and tuna salad. Ooh, it's going to be good. I'm excited. Color some eggs. That's going to be fun. Friday night snore stream. We'll go for a while. What's up, Dean? The way you perceive time. I don't know what that means. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. So that'll be fun. We'll open the Discord. I don't know what kind of mess is going to happen. We shall see, though. Huevos. Oh, yeah. We're going to paint some eggs. And I'm going to get a chocolate bunny. I got to get a chocolate bunny, celery, pickles tonight. Pickle wedges. I got to get those 3 things when I leave work in the morning. One more night. And then we got a weekend. It's going to be fun. So hit the like button on the way out. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. God bless. Stay safe, everybody. Deuces.